Okay.
Alright. We've got the second episode of Track Talk, and today we've got 3 guests, starting with Robert Pellet. Hi.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself to the pod.
Okay, yes, well, as you well know, I am Robert Pellet. I am currently racing Super 2 Formula on the short oval racing. After kind of being a lifelong fan of the sport, spectator, just, going on a regular basis every week to watch the sport. Finally got a chance to have a go and have been racing now for about, say about 5-6 years, I think it is. Yeah, and still loving every second of it.
Awesome, it's good to have you on the pod. We've also got Kieran Thomas. He's also races in your formula.
Hello.
You alright?
Yep.
What
So,
else have you raced in?
I have since I was 11. I was racing mini stocks, and then when I was 17, I moved to the lightning rods, and then I was doing lightning rods for about 10 years with a break in the middle, and then moved on to the Super 2s. Who introduced me into that was Robert, and that's what I'm doing currently, and I've been doing it for 3 years.
Nice. It's good to have you. And third but final and not last guest, we've got Tom.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So my name is Tom. I've been watching and spectating motorsports for pretty much since I was a kid, and I practically spectate mainly the British touring cars, a little bit of the British and the World Rallycross down at Lydden Hill, and I've also actually spectated both Kieran and Rob in their respective categories as well.
Nice. So I know Kieran recently got up to an event with Motorsport with Attitude. How did that go?
It went all right. Just they had problems up there, which we only got to go on to one show, and then they had to cancel the rest of it. But the next day, the car went onto the stand to just show around, which was quite interesting to see up there, all the formulas. But apart from that, yeah, the weekend went quite all right, to be fair.
Yeah, it sounded good. That was something that I thought about getting up to.
Yeah.
Have you done any other similar events, or anyone else done anything?
No, all I've done is I've gone to the NEC show to have a look, but never actually had own car in there before.
Yeah, I've got to say, I've been to the NEC a few times. That's a very good show. Covers all the different types of motorsport, really. Everything from sort of Formula One right through to the stock car and banger scene. Normally, yeah, a good couple of days up there for that one. I visited the Motorsport with Attitude a few years ago. It tends to be more heavily, I don't know whether you found it as well, Kieran, because you went this year with it. You found it like a very heavily oval based, or whether it had sort of more sort of track based stuff as well, like circuit racing.
Yeah, it's more circuit racing with the Motorsport with Attitude. The NEC is more, it's everything. Touring cars, it
Yeah,
can be circuit tracks, not just oval tracks, but yeah, the Motorsport with Attitude is more just oval tracks.
yeah. Have you been to anything, Tom?
I've been to Autosport International, which I think I'm a member, is in Birmingham So I've
Yeah, that's the
been
one
to that.
thing we were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been to Autosport. Yeah, things like that where they do shows. I remember one year they did a special Top Gear performance where they had some stunts going on with the Stig, which is really good as well.
I vaguely remember. I think one of the first years I went, the Red Bull Formula One team got unveiled there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, a lot of teams do use Autosport International as a good place to unveil new cars, new teams to the media, because they actually have a specific media day, which normally happens, I think it's on the Thursday, where they can announce everything and it goes out to the press, and they can use the actual show to launch the car. So we're going to have a look at it for the first time. So it gains kind of loads of interest from people, and then obviously spectators can come in and have a look at the cars themselves. It's really, really good.
I know that, Rob, you said you've been in this watching, going, participating for years. Is that the same for everyone, or how long you've been into certain aspects of it?
Yeah, I mean, personally myself, as I said, I've been going since I was born. My parents were took me as a baby to watch the racing. My mother always liked it. Family members always went. I think even my dad back in the day had a go at banger racing way before I kind of was born, really. But yeah, so we've been sort of a massive fan all my life. It was, yeah, and I say, I finally got the chance in my 40s to have a go, which has been brilliant.
Yeah, with me, I've been around racing all my life. Grandad done it, and then my dad was doing lightning rods. That's where I went into lightning rods as well. So I've been around it all my life.
Going back to the saying about lightning rods, Kieran, just a quick thing. What is a lightning rod?
So a lightning rod is a Ford Sierra, which is all stripped out. So you got a roll cage with it. At the time when I was first doing it, it was a 2-litre Pinto only. Then it went into a 2-litre C-Tech blacktop engine,
Right,
with all the Sierra parts still on it. And then they were moving on to the BMWs, but then they decided to end it in the end.
right.
I mean, myself, as I said beforehand, I was saying that I was, as a kid, like a bit like you, Rob, I was taken by my parents. They kind of used to go to, strangely enough, I used to go banger racing, and it was probably no doubt Arena Essex before that shut down. And I used to go with my sister, my brother. We went to Silverstone one year. We went and watched the F1, and we went that early. We had to take a bowl of cereals with us so we could have breakfast. So yeah, always remember that as being as a good story.
I noticed that you all mentioned that it's family based on how you got introduced, and I know for a lot of people that is the case, that you just kind of get brought into it. And Kieran, I know, congratulations that you've had a baby girl recently. Do you think that's something you'd carry on?
Yeah, I would like to try and carry on with it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. We've got, for me and Rob, there's a local track for oval racing, which is Arlington. I'm not sure what your local would be, Tom and Kieran.
For me personally, would be Brands Hatch, because that's only 20 minutes from me.
Yeah,
Kieran?
it would have been the same, but obviously it used to be Arena Essex before it shut.
I find it as well. That's such a sad thing that's happening at the moment. There's so many of the oval tracks are sort of disappearing. Well, obviously, we lost Wimbledon up in London. Arena has gone. It's becoming harder to find the venues to race at now, it seems.
Yeah, that is something I was going to mention, is that a lot of tracks, or smaller tracks as well, it seems like it's harder to keep them running, especially money-wise, and prices for everything going up, like entry racing. I just think I was wondering what your thoughts were on it all going up and getting more pricey.
I kind of see it. It's obviously it's just the nature of the beast, really, isn't it? Like life, kind of, the cost of living goes up constantly. Everything goes up. Nothing really comes back down. Before, just on a sort of super tube stance of it, before the COVID came along, we were paying our license fee, but then we were only paying £2 basically to race, and then obviously with COVID, everything closed down. There was no racing at all, and then with the restrictions being being allowed drivers to go back racing, but then there was no crowds to go and watch. So the promotions were then charging the drivers more money to take part, basically, and to race. And because we're all petrol head nuts, we decided we must pay more money because we want to go and have a go. We miss it. So, and then the crowds got let back in, but then the price that the drivers were paying never went back down again. So, and then on the venue side of it, I don't know what the other guys think, but my thought of it is, it's just land now is just worth so much more to people for housing development, and just where sort of we live, everywhere you look, every field, is just becoming swamped with another housing estate, and it's just the way it goes. And unfortunately, it happened to Wimbledon. I don't think you guys, Tom, Kieran, you might know a bit more about Arena, but I don't think anything's actually happened with the land up there, has it, at the moment?
No, so they bought it to build houses, like you said, but at the end of it, they got denied the building permissions because of the oil in the land from the racing and oil in the pits, that they actually got denied that they were allowed to actually build on it. So all they've done is knock the building down, like the hotel, not the hotel, the hostel bit where they've knocked it down, and now it's that was just so they didn't have to pay building rates anymore because there's no buildings on the site. But at the minute it just stands there. And last thing I heard, that Google bought the actual land.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys knew, but a few years ago now, Rockingham was another circuit. I mean, that one's an oval circuit, but
I forgot about that one. Yeah,
it's a lot bigger, and Rockingham was used as a British touring car race, which was actually, I thought it was quite entertaining. And the original circuit, because it's unusual to see a larger oval circuit in Britain, was originally used to try and bring like a European version of NASCAR. I think it was all the British NASCAR over to England. And it did it for a couple of years, but didn't last very long. And that's in exactly the same position. It's going to be turned into housing or a car park of some sort. I don't actually know in what state it's in now, but this was closed probably about 5 years ago now, and that was a real big shame. But me personally, as a spectator of Brands Hatch, I can imagine. I mean, I pay £35 to go to the British touring car, and it does vary in the type of race that it is. It's not expensive for me personally, but I can imagine, because motorsport is a family-friendly sport, it can get obviously expensive. However, I would more than happy, and I imagine you guys would be probably the same, to pay more money if it would mean that it would go to the circuit thriving and surviving. Because to be honest, I'd be pretty lost if I found out that Brands Hatch was going to be, unable to run because of the money side of things.
I'll find myself in a catch-22 with it a little bit, because obviously, like you say, you want to support it, you want to give them the money, but I wonder whether, because I know with the short oval, we've got Speedworth TV now, they've got streaming service, so it's kind of, I have signed up for it and pay the fee, because again, I feel like it's my way of contributing to the sport that I've always loved. and I want to continue taking part in. And if I feel like it's my way of maybe keeping it alive a little bit. But then also, I then think, well, is that kind of the way it's going to end up going? Is it going to be more sort of live streaming, and which is stopping people actually going to the venues, which then obviously means that the venues are going to close down? It's a difficult one to work out, which way it's going to go.
Yeah, definitely agree.
I think as well that with racing, it's not, especially Speedworth, I don't see much advertisement. I think it lacks almost in that department. For people that don't know about it, it's almost harder to find out about it. And not very heavy on social media.
I must admit, I mean, you don't hear it, you don't see it. It's only the people that know about it, that already love it, that seem to continue it, which is why I think, like, going back to the you're saying about the families and family orientated, it just seems to be the same groups of families and people that continue to go and continue to support and continue to produce drivers in the formulas.
It is a lack of advertisement. It's not really put out there. I mean, I remember as a kid going to arena and there would be posters on the main roads about it, and about this Sunday it's going to be whatever event, and it used to be advertised so big, but now it seems like with the power of the internet, there's not really much of it.
Do you think is it diluted through the power of the internet, with the internet, should we say? Or, I mean, are they just not utilising it to the best of their ability, perhaps? And then does the cost of advertising come into it as well?
Well, you would have thought that with Speedworth, where they do the Speedworth TV, you would have thought they'd do part of the money from that to get it advertised out there, because they've got the platform for the TV. So to even advertise it out there for that, there's not really much of it, which you thought there would be a lot more.
Yeah, I suppose the national coverage, like you say, with Tom saying, with the touring cars, obviously they've got the national coverage on the big major TV channels, and I think it's ITV.
ITV4.
ITV? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, obviously filming that, and that's obviously kind of got a bigger audience than, say, just a single streaming channel. I know, again, the local track used to advertise on the local radio stations, and like you say, there used to be the posters around near Arlington as well that would be out on the side of the roads, and even in the holiday kind of, used to come like for holiday makers near Eastbourne, they'd have like a what's on leaflet that you could pick up from the tourist information, and it would always be in there again with the fixture lists and to try and draw people in. But it's definitely not, I don't think it's, the people are not finding it easily as easily that they should do. I don't think.
I mean,
but then I wouldn't know how to rectify it.
It used to be that, I remember as a kid, that it used to be that Bangers used to be on TV at sometimes. The Life of Bangers and, stuff like that.
Yeah, like Grandstand, wasn't it? Grandstand Sport?
Yeah. And you had yeah. I was just trying to think. There was one not long ago. It was about Cecil and that Banger team. That was on there at one point, but there's none of that anymore, which that used to be a big thing.
I find as well that when you mention racing to people, you get a lot of like F1 fans and more mainstreamed, the ones that are big on TV, and maybe they've heard of Bangers and stuff, but the smaller kind of stock car formulas don't actually, it's kind of just gibberish to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's times that you speak to someone and they would say, oh, when I was younger, I used to go there with the family and that, and it's like, well, it is still around. It's like if they're talking like if it's not around no more.
Do you ever find as well, I mean, whenever I say to people, oh yeah, I do stock car racing, the instant reaction to that is, oh, what, Bangers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just instantly
Yeah.
think you go and buy a car, strip out the interior and kick out the glass and stuff, and then just go and smash into each other.
Yeah.
But there's so much more. Yeah, the different formulas on the short ovals. It's not just banger racing. There's us as a Super Twos, which is a type of stock car. You were doing, say, lightning rods. That was
Yeah.
non-contact, if I remember rightly, wasn't it?
Yep. Non-contact
So,
formula.
yeah, it's like I say, it's kind of still not quite. Again, it's just not known. The education to the people that don't really know about it, unless they go, just don't find out.
That's true.
Yeah. Again, it kind of comes into the advertisement, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I didn't go back to banger racing since obviously I was a tiny kid when I was really, really small originally. And then I didn't go until I met another friend of mine, probably when I was about 15. And he said to me, he said, "Oh, I'm into banger racing. Do you fancy coming and watch me race?" So I was like, "Yeah, okay." And it was just a kind of like a one-off day out, sorry. And I ended up going a lot more frequently once I actually went there and saw what it was all about. And I think a lot of the times people don't realise there are multiple formulas either in the day, like multiple races, multiple formulas, what goes on. And it's not with just the banger racing, but also others that actually genuinely race as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big thing with bangers as well. They're they're very entertaining. And I think people, like you said, they just kind of go straight to assuming that you race a banger. That's all. Oh. Like Kieran?
Oh, I think technical issues. He's back.
We're going to have to edit that bit out.
God damn it, I was doing so well.
I mean, you saying like there's more kind of bangers. People just think it's bangers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've always just called it banger racing. When I say I'm going to racing, I don't ever specify the formulas like you do because I didn't know what they were, what they meant. And so I suppose the banger racing, for people not in the knowledge, I would say that banger racing sounds more appealing because you know there's going to be crashes. Everyone makes that joke in any motorsports. When you watch it on the TV, people like watching crashes. It's entertaining. So banger racing, I suppose, is the thing that brings the people in that sense. But then it will expand further once you're there to say, oh, actually, there's more to it than just crashing.
I find our local track, Eastbourne, has always been known for banger racing, shall we say, as opposed to the non-contact formulas that race. So even within the promotions that do short oval racing, it was always you'd have the Midlands tracks and the northern tracks, etc., and the West Country tracks, but everyone from these other tracks thought that Eastbourne was still mainly banger, and it was mainly a banger thing because you would get a lot of banger racing going on at Arlington every single week. There'd be bangers on without fail, whereas you'd go to some of the other tracks, like say maybe Hendersford or Birmingham, they wouldn't have bangers on, so they would have just they'd still have a context formula on, but they wouldn't actually have bangers on, and I think it just got pushed down here a lot, down Eastbourne way. But then it's kind of obviously what it's still going, you know. I mean, I think the track was started in the 50s or whatever it was with original stock cars, and it's still going now. So it's obviously done something right.
I think you said that it's like it's the crashing, like Tom said it. People know that that's going to be entertaining, but
come on, watch Super 2s. There's plenty of that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's just my point. There's like all the other formulas are all entertaining in their own way, and it just
I think as well
all have our
with the
personal
whole sport.
favourites.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, I remember again being a kid, and I would have my favourite drivers in all the formulas. I would in bangers as well. It would be I'd have my favourite. It might be the nickname they had, or it might be the certain colours they painted their car in, or it might just be the fact that they managed to get absolutely smashed up. But every time the gates opened, they managed to get their beaten up car back out on the track, and to me that was just, kind of part of it. So it's kind of. And I find as well now I am racing when I see the kids in the crowds and that, and they're all waving and cheering. It's kind of good to kind of wave and cheer back because again they might be the next generation of driver. And I don't know whether anybody. I mean, obviously Kieran's been doing it for a long time. He got into it with mini stocks, but there's for the likes of say Tom, the formulas now. There's plenty of options for anybody to come along and hire one. In a lot of the formulas, so I think it's that everyone's trying to get more people involved, and it's going the right way. But like I say, I think the main problem is it's kind of got a bit of a stigma to it, and it's not like I say, not advertised and promoted in the right way. Still, maybe.
Yeah,
Would you fancy it, Tom?
I was just about to say, from my perspective on, excuse me, being involved in actually racing, I do actually have an interest in racing, and I've done go-karting and some very, very small amounts of just kind of very casual fun racing. And as much as I'd love to be involved in an actual series, for me, it's the level of commitment in time and funds, the money, and even just the fact that you need places to store the vehicles or the cars, the equipment. I don't have the knowledge for fixing the cars, building the cars, and as much as I know you, Rob, you don't actually have a huge amount of knowledge, and you use.
Wouldn't have a clue. Couldn't even change a spark plug.
You kind of have the know-how with the people around you, which is a really, really good community, and it's good to mention that. But I've seen both you and Kieran, and particularly Kieran, I've seen Kieran having to have a yard, a space to actually keep the car, to work on the car. And with all that coming into play, that doesn't fit into my life. So that's why I haven't got involved. But the idea of going there to hire out a vehicle, just to, do that. And then the idea is that I don't have to deal with all of that, and I can just go home at the end of the day with not having to bring it all home with me. Is great, but as you say, no one knows about it, and I didn't know about it until I suppose you guys, told me.
Oh, I'm the same. I didn't know really. I knew that some of the banger drivers would build a car and hire it out to people, but I didn't realise it was available in other formulas that were racing until again somebody else just said speak to the guys at Super 2s, and that's how I got involved. I just spoke to someone, hired a car, and I mean, fortunate enough at the time that I, fell in love with it straight away, and I could actually buy a car, had one made and bought one. But yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. It's the time, the space. It's not just like you say, it's not it's not just turn up and go and racing. It's the work in between. I don't know. I'm fortunate enough to have like a team around me a little bit that some friends that help me out that are mechanics and that can work on the car, because I wouldn't really know what I was doing per se. I just get in, put my foot down and hold on.
I'm not sure if that's the same for Kieran, but you mentioned you've got mechanic friends and people that you help you with areas you lack knowledge in, but I've seen especially that for your show and the upcoming season that Kieran's been getting his car ready. And do you do that all yourself, or how do you do it all?
It's like a team effort, really. You've got the people, so obviously you've got Dad, who helps me out a lot. You've got the people from the actual Super 2s who help you out. And that's even at the track. Everyone helps each other out, which is quite a good atmosphere, and it's a good way of looking at it. It's they'd rather see all the cars on the track instead of just one sitting there not able to go back out, making one less number. So that's quite good. But then I have got the obviously long-term friends, obviously like Callum, who I went to college with. He comes all the time, and I've got who I used to work with and known since I was doing mini stocks, and that's Rob. He used to do the tractor work at Mildenhall, and that's how we first met Rob. And then from my job, we used to deliver to his place, and then he ended up working at our place in the end. So it's quite a, you'll find with the racing community, it's a small world at the end of it. People that you know and actually you might have known for a while, but not actually noticed.
Do you think that's let's say it's a small world? Do you think that's people not pushing it bigger, like ourselves? I mean, I think we're different in our formula very much so that we with the higher cars, with the come and have a go, get involved. But there still seems to be a lot of formulas that are very much kind of they don't want to help each other. They want to keep it amongst themselves, and it's tricky. Which is that then stopping it from growing?
Yeah, so you had it in like the lightning rods, which everyone was just more like, well, all for yourself, don't give nothing away. They'd rather not see you go back out, to be fair, because it's one way of getting one car ahead of you.
Yeah, it's that winning the winning mentality comes in rather than the kind of go out and all have a good time. Sort of thing. Yeah.
Which obviously the Super 2s, it's a completely different atmosphere.
I know, but I mean, I find when I'm out on a track, I want to win. It's but the second that checker flag drops, you're smiling and shaking hands with the other drivers, and like you're saying, everybody jumps on each other's car to help fix it if it needs it. It's such a very different atmosphere to any other formula.
Yeah,
it definitely seems a lot more light-hearted than some formulas.
Yeah, I say not even light-hearted. I think 'cause everybody who does it takes it very seriously and wants to win. And at the end of the day, you're paying your money and you spend all that time on your car. I think most people out there want to do well and progress and become possibly the best one in that, our formula, etc. Win a championship race. But it is the mentality of everybody that is in the formula does seem to be very friendly, very helpful, and we all, like Kieran was saying, we all want to see more cars on the track. So we, rather than just have 2 cars to beat, we'd rather all try and win it by beating the 25, 30 cars that are on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, everyone wants personally for themselves to win, but maybe it's also as if it's almost a respect thing that obviously everyone wants to win, but you've got the realization and respect that everyone else that you're racing with wants that too and has that drive. So it's not you're not the only one out there putting effort and racing really hard and well to get there.
We do want to. Everybody wants to see each other do well. Obviously, with our formula, the Super 2s keep going back to it, but we've got the junior version of it as well. So it's exactly the same car. It's just for the junior drivers, and the idea is that we want to see them do well and then come into the adult formula as well. And it's nice to see the junior drivers progressing and getting better. Sometimes it's kind of, it makes it real difficult, especially with the juniors, because they come in and they've already had a lot of time practicing in the junior form, so they get to know the car. Where sometimes you get a new driver come into the Super 2s and it takes a bit of a while for them to settle in, so they're not up to speed straight away. But the juniors now are coming through and being very competitive. There's definitely respect there, I'd say, for each other, and a lot of sort of a friendly atmosphere, family atmosphere. Again, we keep using the word family with it all. it's great fun. But I know I'm the same as Tom. Tom said he goes to the touring cars. I've started going to watch touring cars now more recently, over the last few years, and it's very different. Yet you still see sort of family groups spectating. I don't know whether you've noticed that, Tom. It's still very much family orientated. You've got dads and sons that obviously been going to watch for years, it seemed, or there'd be a whole family group watching.
Yeah, very much so. The thing with motorsport, let's I don't know, compare it to something like football. Football is very tribal, so obviously you've got one side, you've got the other side, and things can get tense. It's very people are passionate, and I get that. But with motorsports, you find that it's just they're there for the entertainment, and people have their favourite drivers, their favourite teams, but there's nothing more to it than that in terms of how far it goes in terms of getting serious, let's say. And yeah, you see all kinds of families that get involved. And one thing I always find, because I go into lots of different forums on the internet, and I like to kind of read into what people think about various race days or events, so that I know whether it's a good place to go, in maybe it's a new track I want to go to. And people will always say, oh yeah, great family day out. It's almost like the first thing they say, went there with the family, a great day out. And people talk about various things, whether there's what's on, whether it was entertaining, and even things like, was it easy to get in or get out, simple things like that. People consider that. So yeah, as much as it very much has always been that family friendly kind of culture, really.
I know you said as well, looking online as well for all the anything new to try, and the season's starting up about now actually. Have anyone got plans for this year, or anything special upcoming?
Sorry, plans in what way? Sorry, say that again.
Race-wise, for the season, anywhere you're visiting, racing?
I think from a driver's point of view, what's quite exciting for the Super Twos is we've actually got a race meeting booked in for Scotland this year. So, going across the the border up there to go and race in Scotland for the first time. So that's a good thing from my point of view as a racer, as a driver. So that'd be a new track that I've not raced on myself. The Hednesford I've not raced at, which is a new one on the fixture list for the Super Twos. But I think, Kieran, you might have raced at Hednesford already.
So all Speedworth tracks I've raced on, but certainly the same with the Scotland one. It's going to be a new one for me, so looking forward to that.
Something was it Logelly? Was it? I think it was. We're going to.
Yeah, something like that.
I was just about to say whereabouts in Scotland. So I suppose my question for you two is, does that logistically work for you? Is it in, like, as much as it's new and exciting, and it's a new country?
No, it doesn't. I'm not going to lie. It's the pound signs are the worry straight away, and it's not. It's the
distance. Yeah.
It's literally good, and that's the. I mean, I don't have sponsors. I do have a sponsor, as in my friend who owns a garage who does the work on the car. He's a sponsor, so he's my sort of main sponsor, really. The issue for me, I think, like most people these days, is literally the cost of putting fuel in the transporter, be it a car and trailer or a van or whatever it might be, and then driving those hundreds of miles. To turn up to actually race doesn't cost much at all, especially in the Super Twos, which is why I do it, because it's it comes out of my pocket. It's pocket money racing. It's a hobby, which I have to remind myself all the time. It's just a hobby. It's something fun. I love doing, but you just have to go, right, do you know what? I'm not gonna make my family live on bread and water this week because I'm going racing, so I have to kind of look at it in the right perspective. But so for the likes of going to somewhere like Scotland, although it's amazing and I cannot wait, I'm already worrying about how am I going to get the money to get up there and do it. And it's a case of you just have to budget. It's like planning for a holiday. You've got to budget, you've got to save. And that's the worry. And then of course you could go up there and get quite a lot of damage in the race meetings, which then costs you more money. But then you take that chance wherever you race. I don't know how Kieran feels about the getting up there and the worry of it all, but I think we're only booked in for a 1-day race as well, like just on the Saturday, I think it is.
Yeah, I think they've done it on the Saturday because of the travelling. So obviously people go up there, they're going to stay there somewhere, and then obviously travel back the next day. Or I think there was talks about they're allowing you to camp out on site, something like that.
Which to encourage more races, that would make sense. I mean, for me, I'm going to make it a weekend. I'm obviously going to offer it to the family to go, and I'm going to try and make it. I'll go up on the Friday, come back on the Sunday night or something, and make a weekend of it. Because it's a long way to go. Just
of course, just for the 1-day race.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I do travel from Eastbourne up to like Great Yarmouth to race, which can be a 4 or 5 hour drive. But I will do that in just 1 day. So I will leave in the morning of the day of the race, drive all the way up there, get set up, do the racing, and then drive all the way back that night. Whereas somewhere like the Scotland races, that just seems impossible. What about you, Tom? With the travelling side, do you have to consider that? I would imagine so. Like if you're, again, just planning to go once. I'm sure. From my point of view, I'd like to go and watch more touring cars and stuff. But again, I go to Brands Hatch because it's the local one for me. It's the close one. But I'd love to maybe look into it, over a season and try and get in a few more venues, a few more of the tracks, and see what the racing's like at these different places.
I've said for years that I'd like to go to different tracks. I've been to Snetterton, which is in Norfolk, and the only reason I went to Snetterton was because I won the tickets in a competition. I personally would like to go to Alton Park, which is much, much further up. It's halfway up the country in the Midlands, or the East Midlands, I think it is. I'd be happy to travel. But the thing is, I nowadays take my older brother. He doesn't drive, so I take him with me. And the thing with that is, because it's usually an all-day affair, you'd have to go up either really, really early and come back really late, or you start to think about the idea of getting a hotel. And then that really adds up with the cost. If you was to go to Scotland, you would definitely need a hotel. Potentially, you could even fly across to Scotland, because obviously we don't need to take anything other than clothes with us. So yes, I would definitely go, but it would be one of those things I'd have to plan the time. I'd have to book the time of work because it's more than 1 day. And then, there is a particular race in the British Touring Cars and on a few other series in Scotland called Knockhill, and that's a great circuit. But I do, over the years I've been watching on TV, always notice that they tend to have one or two of the very, very smaller teams that have very small budgets that just can't afford to go, so they don't even bother attending because they know that it's not going to be worth it. I know if I was to say to you guys, when you go that far, and if you crash out on your first race and it's damage done, you can't race and fix the car, it's travelling for nothing. You've wasted that time and the money. So that's the downside to it as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately we can't get a plane like you, because I don't think they'll take a Super 2 as luggage.
As small as the race car is, it's not hand luggage size.
No. And I did actually think, when you said about you wanted to go to that track, Tom, I did actually thought you said Alton Towers. I don't know why. I thought you had to
Alton Park.
I like to go to the bumper cars at Alton Towers.
Yeah. Hey, if it's I'll race bumper cars. I'll race anything if I can. I love it.
Yeah.
But the original question is, from my point of view, I will do as many as many meetings in my own race car as my budget will allow me. And on top of that, I would like to try and get to maybe a few more race meetings of different varieties, like let's say the touring cars or Porsche Carrera Cups or something else, a bit of circuit racing. I'd like to go and try and do a few more of them over the course of the year, just to tick them off the list, really. There's places I've not been, there's things I've not seen race-wise. I really fancy, again, I should go. It's local, the Brands Hatch track. Maybe seeing the truck racing, the lorry racing towards the end of the season. I think that'd be one to go and something I've never seen apart from on the telly. So definitely get to as many races, either in my car or watching as much as possible.
I think that's just very quickly on that. It's a good point to say that major circuits, they do have a lot of club racing, and they are, if you compare the difference between that and your major races and events that happen, like there's the superbikes, the truck racing is a major one at Brands Hatch. You've got British GT and a few others, but once those pass and you get the smaller club races, the difference in spectator crowd size is huge. It's almost like next to no one there, and that's where obviously they don't make anywhere near as much as the money. So it's those big events, the advertising, that really needs to push up for those numbers for money.
Maybe we can get this podcast to do it on a more regular basis and get it out there. We can be fighting the cause for the short oval racing, and everybody to kind of get it out there, get people listening. Come on, you want to.
Yeah.
I see all the touring cars all over again, the live streams.
Yes, I do. A quick one is I don't know whether you even know this. Most of us, we've all done quite a lot of online racing as well. We're playing games basically as grown adults, but again, it's racing. It's track time. It's racing. It's let's go and play cars, and we love it. Absolutely love every moment of it, and everything from virtual to the real thing. It going back to even being as a kid.
A lot of Gran Turismo.
Exactly. Yeah, the film. Yeah, they've made a film out of a computer game as well. Yeah, to do with racing. But I just say, as a tiny child, I used to have the Matchbox cars, and in my back garden, I would make a racetrack on a dirt pile, and it just it stems right back to there. You know what I mean? So it's always been in me to be interested in motorsport of some description.
Oh, do you know, I was a bit more boring as a kid, and I did traffic jams with my car. So we used to just line.
We're going to have to edit some stuff in. What the fuck?
Me and my sister and my brother picked out our favourite cars, and we basically just lined them up in the house like traffic. And you line them up, and then you got to the end, and then we went to the front.
No wonder you're not a racer.
This is still like the most boring game ever.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. We went upstairs, went under the table, and everything.
They didn't move. They just parked up. It was like a photo finish on the M25 rush hour.
It almost prepared me for the disappointment when I come to my own career.
I love that. That's brilliant. We had boxes of them, these toy cars, and the path that came from the road down to the front door basically was down a hill. So I used to start at the top and just hold them and then let them go, and they'd roll down the path. Some of them would get halfway, some of them would turn and spin off within the first seconds, and I'd just work my way down the path, collecting the cars as they've crashed off and put them back in the middle. Off they went again, and it'd be the first one to the bottom was the winner. It was always about winning.
Or even, as you said the other day, get on a bike and crash into your other friend who's on a bike, pretend you're a car.
The chap who's now my kind of main sponsor and mechanic, kind of grew up the same village as me, but he's been racing. He's done circuit racing. He's raced everything. He's done. You mentioned earlier Rockingham, Tom, the British version or the English version of NASCAR. I think he called it Camso V8. You had the was it ASCAR? I think they were called as well.
Yeah.
Again, my friend, he's raced them. He's raced many things over the years, and I was always a bit jealous. But when we were kids, we used to get on our push bikes in the local car park and just cycle into each other, pretending we were banger drivers at Arlington. And we'd try and break the other person's bicycle, and then when something broke, we'd then turn them upside down, work on them with our little miniature spanner toolkit that we stolen from our parents' house probably, and then pretending we were the mechanics fixing it to get back out there and do it again.
Brilliant.
It's always been in the blood.
No, that's great, and we've got many more things to talk about, but I reckon we'll have to get you all back on for sure, as otherwise we'd just be here for hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I could talk
But
about it
thank
for hours
you.
because I am that boring. But if you're listening, come down, come and support us, come and watch us.
Exactly.
Or whichever track's local to you, just go and have a look. Go and experience the day out. It's well worth it. Sometimes there's more than just race cars going around the track. There's, like Tom was saying, there's events on the side of the track. There's fun pairs. There's all sorts going on for all the family.
I do have to say, anytime I go, particularly, I'd say banger racing again, but kids absolutely love it. You hear them really enjoying the crashing. It's a loud, noisy affair. People like it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake. Well, yeah, thank you all for being on. We'll get you on for sure soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Right, we're playing a
How long
fucking
was
game
that, Tom?
Fortnite or what?